The Power of Memoir, How to Write Your Healing Story, and written by Dr. Linda Joy Myers. Welcome to the show, Linda.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Great to be here.
Tell me why the story is a healing story. Is it always healing to write our own story?
Well, there's hidden benefits in writing our story. We may start off wanting to write a humorous story or leave a legacy for our children, and we aren't really necessarily thinking of healing. But the act of writing leads us into pathways of reflection about our lives, about who we have been, where we've come from, the legacies that were left us. And this sort of reflective voice starts to kind of capture our attention as we write, even no matter if it's funny or whatever. And so healing can mean transformative. It can mean giving us new insights. It doesn't have to mean that something is terribly wrong. But on the other hand, there's been a lot of studies done about the healing power of writing, and it actually helps to heal physical problems such as arthritis, asthma, chronic fatigue. So there's this whole range of conversation about the healing power of memoir writing.
Now, lots of people want to write a memoir. Do you suggest that most people actually go through the process of publishing the memoir?
Well, a lot of people want to write and want to be published that I end up talking to. They get kind of ahead of themselves sometimes and get all tangled up and worried about the publishing process, or if they should publish these accusations against their family. Perhaps they ended up writing exposés as secrets and so on. I just tell people to write that first draft from your heart. Tell all the truths that you have to tell, that you need to tell. And after that draft is done, then see where you are emotionally. Do you want to go ahead and try to get an agent and work for a couple of years to get it published to a larger audience? Or do you want to give it to your family? Or do you want to just say, hey, I just wrote this. I stand behind it. It helped me. I'm done. So I help people sort out what they would feel they would like to do.
I imagine that's really valuable because I've read some memoirs that are extremely powerful and you're just riveted, but I've also read a couple in my life. It's like, it's not something that I'd necessarily recommend. And so you can help people sort through that after they've written it. And maybe there's a story there, but it just needs a rewrite to make a good, compelling memoir for someone else to pick up and read.
Well, a lot of memoir writers kind of get in a hurry and they get the first draft out and they go, wow, that was a lot of work. I'm done now. And the thing about writing is that it's a lot of work and it's pleasurable at times, a lot of the time, but not always. And I just recommend that people slow down, be willing. If you want to get a book published, you have to learn what a professional writer is all about. You need to learn how to use fictional tools to write good scenes. You need to learn the techniques of writing. You need to learn about the process of creation of any art. Because in the end, if you're translating memories into a book, you're actually creating an art form. And I think that people maybe, don't realize that or don't think about it that way. So I help people hold their vision and stay with themselves while they prepare then eventually to, open out into the world.
Now, that's such great advice because so many people write about nothing and it can be totally compelling, because it's the writing underneath that makes it compelling. So it doesn't matter if you're writing about toast or your life story. If you're a great writer, that's going to come through. And so I love how you're sharing to get some of those tools to become a great writer if you want to go ahead and publish and have a compelling book for millions to buy and read, right?
Well, I'd like to add that it's fun to become a compelling writer for yourself because there's something you can get into learning about poetry, learning about metaphor and simile and language, and every draft you write will be a little bit different language, a little bit of a different feeling, and you start to feel like you are really capturing the memories better and better the better you learn how to write. So even if you don't publish it, But most people do want to share their memoir once they get going with it. A lot of times that's the reason that people are writing, is because they feel like they have an important story that will benefit others, that other people might learn from, and so on. Even if it is only the family, we still want the family to enjoy the story. So there's real value in just learning, and I believe in education no matter how old we are. So I encourage people to sign up for classes somewhere and learn more.
What's the difference between an autobiography and a memoir?
Well, those terms are used interchangeably a lot, but the way that we are looking at memoir and publishers are looking at memoir these days is that a memoir is a focused, theme-based story about particular things, like maybe how I got over an illness and how other people can learn about that process, or how people recovered from some kind of abuse, or how they, like Mary Carr wrote Lit. She wrote a series of 3 memoirs, but her last one was about how she recovered both from her childhood and falling into alcoholism. And she, just to use her as an example, she threw away 2,000 or 3,000 pages that she didn't feel worked.
Whoa,
and
that's a lot
she just
of
kept
pages.
writing, and trying to find the right voice, trying to find it. And so it's a really good example. I mean, she eventually really did, and it's just an example of the process that we need to go through.
Do you recommend that if people don't find an agent that they should self-publish, or is that an idea that maybe if you can't find an agent, there won't be room for your book? There's so much out there. Tell me how you view all that.
No, it's such a conversation everyone's having. For one thing, traditional publishing is changing every 10 minutes, and so just sign up for tomorrow's news, and you'll see something new. Any publishing in general is changing. Things have changed since I published Don't Call Me Mother, my own memoir, and that was in 2005. And things have changed since last year even. So there's so many ways to get published. To publish yourself is one of them. You can set up your own publishing company and become you're an independent publisher yourself, which is what I've done for a couple of books. You can go through these self-publishing companies. A warning, they will take lots of your money, but it's actually an inexpensive way to do it book by book if you don't have that many copies that you'd like, and they do a fine job. I've had students use Lulu.com and some other like Create Space through Amazon. Mm-hmm. Now there's everyone suggests you can blog your book. You can create a blog for nothing for free. And, of course, after you edit it, you can put some of your book chapters up there. And there are publishers and agents looking on the web for interesting memoirs, and sometimes they find people that way. There's a self-publishing online, I don't know what you call it, magazine, I think, called Scribd, Scribd. People are uploading things there and getting thousands and thousands of hits where people are reading their first chapter, and agents and publishers go there too. And look, I could go on, but those are just some examples of how people can get their work out there. There's online magazines. Just keep writing. If you love to write and you have an important story to tell, you really have to stand behind it and be passionate and, look for support, look for classes. Of course, I'm the president of the National Association of Memoir Writers, and we set up ways to help support memoir writers. And there's lots of organizations and groups out there. And the internet, I mean, there's everything. Look, we're going to be on the internet. So there's just so much available now.
Absolutely. You've given so much food for thought, but really I think the message today is to write. Start writing and then write some more.
Right, keep writing, and as I say to all memoir writers as part of National Association of Memoir Writers, we have a phrase, be brave, write your stories. It's an act of bravery, it's an act of creativity, and really there's just so many people are hungry for your story, what happened to you. People really want to know. So just pick up the pen and write.
My guest today has been Linda Joy Myers, The Power of Memoir, How to Write Your Healing Story.